Welcome to the You're Worth It podcast with Coach Ha-Keem. Career conversations with leaders you need to know. Welcome to today's episode of the You're Worth It podcast with Coach Ha-Keem. Today I'm excited to introduce you to Dubem Okonkwo. Dubem is a versatile product designer based in Nigeria who cuts across, I would say, many aspects of design, including branding, motion, and UI UX. In this episode, he offered several nuggets of knowledge and is truly inspiring in terms of his humility and his insight, his intellectual curiosity, his focus on delivering the highest quality service and product, and passion to learn are just a few reasons why you should consider bringing him on your team and why I hope you enjoy today's episode. Thank you. Welcome, everyone, to the You're Worth It podcast with Coach Ha-Keem. I'm Coach Ha-Keem, and my guest today is Dubem. Dubem, welcome to the show.
Hi, Ha-Keem. Thank you for inviting me to your show.
Oh, thanks for accepting. I appreciate it. I'm excited to share a little bit of your journey with our listener.
Okay.
So, and with that in mind, maybe tell the listener, those looking online, a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I'm Dubem Okonkwo. I'm a product designer based in Nigeria, and actually, I'm more of a very versatile designer. I cut across many aspects of design, such as branding, motion, and UI UX, which is the user interface, user experience design. So I've been a product designer for about 2 years now, 3 years now, and I really enjoy it there because it gives me the chance to solve problems and you know make users happy. So that's just a really brief intro about myself and what I like to do.
No, that's great. And you did something really cool when you and I connected on LinkedIn. I don't know what you do. There's sometimes, I talk to people, I'm like, oh yeah, I get that. I understand that. I'm aware. I have a good idea of what they do. When you and I connected on LinkedIn and you told me what you did, I said, I don't know. I don't know the space. I don't know, about kind of the work you do. So can you just maybe for the listener and for those looking online, can you share a little bit more about what that means, what you do, the work that you do?
Okay, so like I mentioned, I'm a product designer, but sometimes it's synonymous to the term UI UX designer. So I'm going to explain what a UI UX designer does, and basically what we do is we are sort of digital architects. We design what the experience of interfaces could be it your website, your mobile apps, your watches, anything that has to do with human contact interaction is where we come in. So what we do is something similar to what an architect does. If you have a plan, if you have a house that you want to build and you don't really know what to do, you don't know, how to make it just right. You first go to an architect and he draws up the plans and shows you to approve and all that. So what we do is sort of similar to that of an architect, but more on the digital landscape.
So I'm gonna say it back to make sure I understand it. And so as an architect draws designs for a house,
Yeah.
you essentially lay out the way that people interact and the interface, the way that we connect with mobile apps, with websites, with kind of anything in the digital space. You kind of help create that environment and what
Yeah.
that's going to look like for the person working in that.
Exactly. Then after that, we hand off to the developers, or we hand off to the project managers and the shareholders to take a look at it and confirm if this is something they really want. So after a lot of iterations, it then goes off into development, who now brings it functional. So it's just sort of a way of giving your product a structure and uh, actually, you are actually spot on it. I have to ask if you did any bit of research before this interview. Did you?
No, no, I did not. I probably should have. It's good feedback.
It's true. It's true.
but
It's true. That's why
but
I'm.
I listened to you, and you did again. People don't know you and I. We don't know each other. We really met on LinkedIn. We
Yeah.
connected on LinkedIn, and you were really kind. Like you shared, what you did, what your services are, what your background is, and I said I don't know, and you wrote a really it was just a nice summary of what you did, and I just thought it was so well written, and I understood it, and then just listening to you is helping me think about, because again, we all interface with things digitally. My phone, your phone, even what we're doing right now is
Yeah.
some form of an interface. And so I think the analogy of an architect for a house is perfect, and it helped me maybe make the connection a little bit more about what that looks like. And if I think about society today, and where we're going in terms of, I don't think we're going less digital. I think
Yeah. We're actually going more digital. So the usually the term I just like to my go-to term for my role is a digital architect. I think it encompasses everything,
it
and it
does.
breaks it down for even a 5-year-old to understand. So
I appreciate that. So thank you for the lesson, and thank you for the overview. I certainly want to be a lifelong learner, and I think part of this, the reason why I was really looking forward to talking with you, is because I knew that I would learn a lot more about what you did. And um, so a question I like asking people, and some people find it difficult, some people have no problem at all with it, but I personally think one of the hardest things to do is to kind of talk about yourself, the things that you're good at, your background, your history, things like that. And so, if you were to tell anyone listening right now, kind of what you're good at, what are you good at?
okay. How about before I tell you what I'm good at, I tell you what I'm not good at. Let me
Fair,
give you a
okay.
little history of how I got into design. I actually studied engineering in school. Yeah, mechanical engineering to be specific at the
Wow.
University of Nigeria. And at the end of my school year, I realized that okay, even before I started the course, I sort of knew it wasn't for me. So towards the end of my school year, I had to pick up a skill. So a friend of mine who I lived with actually introduced me to Photoshop, and from there I just started playing around with it, and as usual watched a couple of YouTube videos, and I just had a knack for learning stuff, so it was pretty easy for me to pick it up, and so I then started doing a couple of branding projects for a few friends and family. So just from there, I got a couple of experience in branding designs. And this was as far back as 2017, because that's when I started learning branding designs.
Okay.
So from there, um, I sort of had an entry point into UI UX design through this internship I had in the Corona year 2020. So that was the year that a lot of people got into tech because we were
Is
all
it?
at home and we didn't really, we are more, we built a better relationship with our devices at home. So
Yeah.
I got into this internship program where I learned the basics around user experience and user interface design. And from there, I just, although in the middle of my career, I had to pick up motion design because I had a client that needed it for a service. And like you said earlier in the, like you said earlier in this podcast, you said we're all learners. So I picked up motion design while on a job, learning on a
Wow.
job. Yeah. So, and if you're creative, you know how drilling and tasking motion design is. And just as After Effects is just as drilling and tasking as motion design. So, it was something I had to learn while working as well, So it was quite challenging for me, but I did that, and I'm really fluent in it now. So I after learning motion design, I then um, I then combined my knowledge of motion design with user interface and user experience design, and that combination sort of sparked my interest, and that was why I decided to set sail into. So motion design and um, user interface and experience design sort of it has this intersection which they call interaction design. So I found out that that's where I wanted to specialize in. So since 2021, I have been doing a lot of interaction design jobs.
Oh, that's good. That's
Yeah,
good. I
so,
find you really interesting. Like, and so and here's why, because the things you just went through, the things you just explained to me, you said I started out in mechanical engineering. Like, and you
yeah,
do that. Maybe it's not something like, but it's still pretty significantly a very, from my opinion, a very difficult field. And then you said, in my free time, I picked up Adobe, which not everyone can do. Let me attest to you, it's not something that I think I just pick up and do. And then yeah, in your free time, you learned user interface and motion control, and so you're a learner. You're
I'm not good
you've
enough.
been able to do this all while working,
Yeah.
and you have a mind that is able to kind of you said those things were easy, and it's easy
Oh,
for
sorry.
some, right? So
Yeah, sorry, correction, but I wouldn't say easy, but it's the learning curve for me is sort of shorter than normal for most people,
yeah,
because I have like I said, it's just a knack for it. I have a knack for
that's
it, but
great.
doesn't make it easy. So I just
Fair.
wanted to, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's fair. It's a good correction, right? So not easy, but a shorter learning curve. So as we think through like businesses, organizations, even people, other people that may want to reach out to you, they're looking for people that you know can help them, right? Can help them make more money, succeed, whatever that may be. You know, if why should an organization or a person or a business, why should they hire you?
Okay, this is a very interesting question. Well, without being prejudiced, I think I'm going to be very fair when I say that I'm a very versatile designer. I've cut across a couple of areas of design, and I've been able to grow my eye for design since 2017. So um, I would say I'm a very meticulous designer. I'm someone who takes time to make sure everything is pixel perfect, So I pride in that a lot because that's how I've been able to craft eye-catching designs over the years that I pass on a message. And another quality of mine that I would say sets me apart from other designers is I'm commercially aware, and that means that um, I take into consideration all factors of a business to make sure that my designs convert visitors to paying customers. So that's one area I choose to focus on as well. Not just the user experience and the user problems. I also like to take into account, the measurable metrics for the business outputs as well. So I think that's what really sets me apart from other designers, and why honestly my clients love to work with me. Yeah,
No, I think that's good, because what I heard you say is, attention to detail. You know the market, and you're really focused on delivering on those deliverables. What are those metrics of success, and how do you improve on that, and how do you achieve that? And that's a focus for you. And you think, from my perspective, what I heard you say is it's a differentiator for you.
yeah,
It's what sets you apart from others. So, and what organization, what business would not want someone who is able to kind of help them see that and create that vision, that interface for them,
yeah,
with that kind of detail and delivering what they see as important, right?
yeah,
No, it's
yeah.
good.
You,
So
you know, you're
maybe
you're
go
actually
ahead.
really sorry. I'm just a comment, a side
Yeah.
comment, but you're actually a really good listener, and I love that. things sort of stick to you. Is this part of the reason why you wanted to host a podcast? Because you're actually really good at listening.
No, well, thank you for that. I appreciate the kind words. The reason why I wanted to start a podcast is I think we're all trying to find our way in our careers, right?
Yeah,
What's right? What's the next step for me? And one of the things for me personally that I started to see is that um, there lessons I learned from other people can be shared. And
definitely.
and so if I just have it and I share it one on one, that's great, but it's one person at a time, and that's good. A podcast allows me the opportunity to share those insights with more people and to have more influence and to have more people learn from other people. And so that was my initial focus. And then just so no one's actually asked me that question, so thank you for doing that. The Where initially I started was, hey, let me introduce my audience to people I know that I think are great. And then with the last 6 months, I've seen just people, my friends and things like that, impacted by layoffs, and so decided that maybe the podcast can be an avenue to help people, um, like a video resume or a resume that you listen to, help them find opportunities and connect with other leaders, other organizations, other companies. And so I changed the focus of my podcast. And then I did something probably that made me feel a little uncomfortable, is I went beyond my network to people I don't know
Wow.
and offered the service to people that that weren't directly in my network, or that were in my network but we hadn't had a lot of conversations. And so actually having this conversation with you is the result of that. It's just being able to, I think, share a platform with people that I think are really interesting. And I think your experience is really interesting. I'm learning as you and I talk. And so I do listen intently because I think you have something unique to offer to the world. I think you have something unique to offer to organizations, but I'm also learning. So that's why I want to make sure that I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm understanding what you're saying. So when I say it back, if there's something for you to correct, like it's not easy, but my
Yeah.
learning curve is short. I mean, these are things that uh, that help me understand who I'm talking to and what you do, and even the industry a little bit better. So I appreciate the question. Thank you.
All right. I I'm sort of starting to feel like I'm the owner of the podcast now. So,
Yeah, you are. This is our podcast.
right.
That's
Okay,
good.
it's nice to actually get to know you. At the podcast aside, you're actually a really cool person.
Well, I
And
appreciate that. Likewise. Likewise. This is fun for me. I really do enjoy this. So this is the time of the day that I get a chance. I love the interactions. And so we'll in so you and I, in a way, we have a partnership right now. On this podcast, we get a chance to learn from one another. Tell me about, as you think about like your your previous projects or people that you've worked with or organizations, what are maybe one of the best relationships or best partnerships that you've had, in your career, and what were some of the keys to that?
okay, well, one of the best relationships I had was that of the person that um, she's an employee of mine. She sort of saw the light in me just when I started my tech job, and she was my first international client. After working for a couple of brands and startups here in Nigeria, so she was a person that sort of saw the the spark in me and decided to give me a chance. And she sort of opened up the she actually showed me how amazing I could be, and she's been patient with me ever since my role with her. Although I don't work there anymore,
Okay.
but she's one of the persons that I always give a lot of attribution to whenever I think of my career in tech. because she really believed in me, and it's not something you can find in everyone. Yeah, so she's sort of the my first hiring manager that saw the light in me, and she's one of the persons I always look up to because her work rate always inspires me to be on my feet and get more done. So she's someone that I would say I have the best relationship with on a formal side, the business side, and she's someone I look up to as well. So I would say she's a she's a mentor for me, and I I really I really love that. I really love
Yeah.
that.
It's amazing to me. One person can can change for the better, um, people, and the impact that one person can have. Like you said, I think you said that very well. Like she saw the light in you.
Yeah,
And sometimes, when you work with people, they see the light, and we're like moths, right? We're attracted to light.
yeah,
And so we want to be around the light. We want to, and sometimes people, see the light, and they help the light get brighter. And that, to me, what is, when I listen to you talk about her, and just the what she saw in you, and then what she fostered in you. You had the light was yours, right? But
yeah.
she, is really, and it sounded like, really helped you brighten your light and shine for others, right? And
Yes, yes,
so
yes, exactly.
that, to me, is, it's a testament, and it's something for us to remember, because I believe this wholeheartedly, that it one person can make the difference in one life, and that life can impact other lives. And if we're all thinking like that, how do we help each other? We'd be surprised how many things we have in common, and how many good outcomes of that. So whoever this person is, she sounds wonderful, and she clearly saw something in you. But you have something. I mean, just in our discussion today, you have a gift, and it is important that you continue. And this is why I think you and I are talking today, to be able to share that with others, so that
Yeah,
others get a chance to meet you and work with you as well. So I think that's pretty cool. I appreciate you sharing that story.
thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, man.
So, well, okay. So all journeys come to an end. Not that our journey is over. We'll still continue to connect. But what are, as you think and reflect on what you want, a potential employer, a potential partner, someone that wants to connect with you. What are, either words of wisdom, something that you want to share, reflection that you have. What would you like to share with the listener or those looking online?
Okay. Yeah, I would like to say that you can only connect the dots looking backward and never forward. This is a very famous quote from Steve Jobs himself, and it has really inspired me. Whenever I'm confused and feeling a bit dejected, I think of that and just trust my gut and the intuition, to carry me through the process, and just to keep working hard to get where I'm going. So what I would like to leave with anybody listening to this podcast is trust your guts, follow your instincts.
Yeah. I think that's so. One, I never heard that. So thank you for sharing that. Just the idea that you can't connect the dots, in, until you look backwards. Like, so
Yeah,
it's pretty deep thought, in that the idea is that if you're trying to make some of these connections, sometime as you're going through it, it's difficult. So with this idea that you share, just trusting your gut, move ahead. Some another way of saying is, put one foot in front of the other. Just keep moving forward. Um, and look, if you keep reflecting, looking backwards, you can start to make the connections that'll help you. You know, decide what's right, what's wrong, which way you want to go, this and
yeah,
that or another. But I think that's it's good feedback. It's good advice for anyone listening. I let me just tell you, this is one of, like, as I think about and reflect on this podcast, I'm even more emboldened that this is absolutely the right thing to do, and that I want to continue to reach out and connect with people that I don't know. That's the learning today that you've shared with me, both in terms of what you do for a job, but also in terms of reflecting on what I do. Even reversing the questions, and again, I've been on a few podcasts up to this point, and no one's asked me the question, and so I appreciate the way that you think, and just this particular podcast. So Dubem, just thank you for your time today. Thank you for sharing a little bit of yourself with our listener. My goal is to share you with our my network and your network on LinkedIn and other places. So thank you for spending time with me today.
You're welcome, Ha-Keem. It's been a pleasure actually getting to talk about myself and getting to know you more as well. So I'm
Good.
really grateful you gave me the opportunity to do that.
No, absolutely. So, for all those on listening and online and watching, you're worth it with Coach Ha-Keem. Thanks for the time today with Dubem, and until the next time we talk. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the You're Worth It podcast. Our goal here is to help everyone achieve their career dreams. Take a minute to like our content, review our books, and never forget, you're worth it. For more You're Worth It podcasts, career insights, merchandise, and exclusive content, check out CoachHakeem.com.